If you saw part one, you know my family abandoned me at 17 with just a note that said you'll manage somehow. Fast forward, I became a millionaire, and now they suddenly want back and like nothing ever happened. Well, this is part two. On Wednesday, the doorman called up, said there was a couple asking for me, wouldn't give their names. I knew instantly. Told him I wasn't accepting visitors. 5 minutes later, my phone rang from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. It was my dad. Ava, we drove 8 hours to see you. His angry voice said, "You're being childish. We deserve a chance to explain." I deleted the message and turned off my phone. Thursday morning, I woke up to someone pounding on my door. I froze in bed, heart racing, checked the peephole. It was them, my parents, standing in my hallway like they had any right to be there. "Ava, please." My mom's voice came through the door. "We just want to talk to you." "We know you're in there," my dad added. "We love you. We're sorry." I didn't open the door. I sat on the floor with my back against the wall, shaking. Eventually, they left. I called building security immediately, told them not to let those people up again. The guard sounded concerned and asked if I needed police. I said, "No, just don't let them up." Then I called Melissa. She came over on her lunch break, brought me a sandwich, and sat with me while I cried. Told me I had every right to set boundaries, that I didn't owe them a meeting, that what they were doing was harassment, not reconciliation. After she left, I got an email from Daniel. He was furious. Said I'd humiliated our parents. Said they were staying in a cheap motel they couldn't afford because they were so desperate to see me. Said his wife needed surgery next month, and they were hoping I could help. Said I was being cruel. I didn't respond. Friday morning, I decided I needed to leave town for a while. Booked a flight to visit my friend Rachel in Portland. She'd been one of the people who helped me when I was homeless and let me crash on her couch for a week when I had nowhere else to go. I trusted her completely. I was throwing clothes in a suitcase when my phone rang an unknown number again. I ignored it. 10 minutes later, my doorman called. Said there was a woman downstairs having what looked like a medical issue. Said she was asking for me by name. Claimed to be my mother. I felt sick. Told him to call an ambulance if she needed help, but I wasn't coming down. He sounded uncomfortable, but agreed. I finished packing and headed downstairs an hour later. Checked the lobby carefully before entering. No sign of them. I felt relieved, but also weirdly guilty. The doorman gave me a strange look as I passed. Told me the ambulance had come, that the woman had been having chest pains, that she'd been taken to Memorial Hospital. I nodded and hurried out to my waiting Uber. At the airport, I got another call from Daniel. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Mom had a heart attack." He was crying. "She's in surgery. This is your fault for stressing her out." I hung up on him, called Melissa instead. She answered immediately. I told her what happened, asked if I was a terrible person. "Ava, listen to me," she said firmly. "You're not responsible for your mother's health. This feels like another manipulation tactic. Get on your plane and take care of yourself." I did. Spent the weekend with Rachel. Told her everything. She remembered when my family abandoned me. Remembered how broken I'd been. She was furious on my behalf. "They don't deserve a minute of your time," she said, pouring me another glass of wine. "Not after what they did to you." It felt good to have someone so firmly in my corner. Sunday night, I got an email from my dad. My mom was stable, had a stent put in, would be released Tuesday. The email ended with, "She's asking for you. Don't you think you've punished us enough?" I showed Rachel. She rolled her eyes so hard I thought they might get stuck. Told me this was textbook guilt tripping. I knew she was right, but part of me still felt responsible. I flew home Monday, found flowers outside my apartment door. The card said, "Reach out to us. We're staying at the Holiday Inn until Wednesday." No apology, no acknowledgement of boundaries, just another demand. I threw the flowers in the trash chute. Tuesday morning, I got a text from an unknown number. It was a photo of my mom in a hospital bed looking pale and small. The message said she might not have much time left. "Do you really want to live with this regret?" I blocked the number, called Melissa. She suggested I take a social media break, change my number, maybe even stay with a friend for a while. I agreed, called my assistant, and told her I'd be working remotely for 2 weeks. Packed another bag. Before I could leave, my doorman called again. Said there was a young woman downstairs asking for me. Said she had a small child with her. Said she claimed to be my sister-in-law. I felt cornered. These people wouldn't stop. I told the doorman to send her up. Decided to face this head on. The woman who knocked on my door looked exhausted. Had dark circles under her eyes. Was holding a sleeping toddler against her shoulder. "I'm Rachel," she said quietly. "Daniel's wife. I came alone because I wanted to talk to you without family drama." I let her in reluctantly. Offer her water. She accepted gratefully. Rachel put her sleeping daughter on my couch, tucking a blanket around her. Then she sat at my kitchen table and started talking. "I only learned about you 3 years ago," she admitted. "Daniel told me you ran away at 17, cut contact with the family. I always thought it was strange, but never pushed. Hearing your podcast was a shock. I confronted him, and he finally admitted the truth. I just listened, not sure what to believe anymore." Rachel seemed sincere. "I'm horrified by what they did to you," she continued. "I insisted Daniel reach out, but I had no idea they were going to ask you for money. I'm embarrassed and angry about that. Yes, I do need surgery for a thyroid condition, but we have insurance. Your parents are the ones in financial trouble, not us." I asked her why she'd come. She looked me straight in the eyes. "You deserve to know the whole truth." She said, "Your parents have been telling everyone you abandoned the family, that you were mentally unstable, that you stole money from them before disappearing, that they spent years looking for you. All lies to cover what they'd done." I felt like I'd been punched. "How do you know this is true?" She pulled out her phone, showed me Facebook posts from years back. My mom asking for prayers to find her troubled daughter. My dad claiming I'd taken their savings before running away. Posts about hiring private investigators, about checking homeless shelters, all carefully crafted to make them look like victims, all dated years after they'd abandoned me. Rachel apologized for being part of it, even unknowingly. Said she confronted my parents, too, that they'd admitted everything to her when she threatened to tell the whole family the truth, that they were desperate now because their lies were unraveling, that my podcast had people asking questions they couldn't answer. Her daughter woke up to a cute little girl with curly hair. "This is Lily," Rachel said softly. "She's 3. I have another daughter on the way. I want my children to know their aunt, but only if you want that too. No pressure, no guilt, just an open door if you ever choose to walk through it." After they left, I sat in my apartment for hours processing. Called Melissa again, told her everything Rachel had said. She wasn't surprised. "Abusers often control the narrative," she explained. "They create alternate realities where they're the victims." She asked what I wanted to do now. I honestly didn't know. That night, I got another email from my dad. This one was different, angry and threatening. Said if I told lies about them online, they would sue me for defamation. Said they had proof I'd stolen from them. Said they'd go to the media with their side if I didn't take down the podcast and issue a public apology. Said they expected financial compensation for the damage to their reputations. I forwarded it to Melissa, then to my lawyer, Marcus. He called me immediately. "This is empty threatening," he assured me. "Truth is an absolute defense against defamation. Save everything, but don't respond. I'll handle it if they actually file anything, which I doubt they will. People who are actually going to sue don't usually announce it first." The next day, I got a call from Daniel. I let it go to voicemail. He sounded panicked. "Ava, Rachel told me she visited you. Our parents are furious. They're saying terrible things about her now, too. I'm scared they're going to try something desperate. Please call me back on Rachel's phone, not mine." I didn't know what to believe anymore. Called Marcus again. He suggested meeting Daniel and Rachel somewhere public with him present as my lawyer, just to hear them out. I agreed reluctantly. We set up a meeting at a restaurant near Marcus's office for the next day. They showed up on time. Both looked terribly stressed, exhausted. Rachel had a bruise on her arm she kept trying to hide. Daniel couldn't make eye contact. "I'm Marcus, Ava's attorney," he said as we sat down, which made Daniel flinch. But we sat down, ordered coffee, and they started talking. The story that came out was worse than I'd imagined. My parents had been living off Daniel for years, moving in and out of his house, taking money for emergencies, watching his kids while criticizing his parenting. When Rachel confronted them about me, my dad had grabbed her arm hard enough to leave marks. Daniel had kicked them out. They were now staying in a motel, calling constantly, showing up at his work. I listened without interrupting, watched my brother break down as he described how our parents had controlled him his entire life, how they convinced him I abandoned them, how he'd been too scared to question their version of events, how he'd been trapped in their web of manipulation and lies for 12 years, how he was terrified they would hurt Rachel or the kids. Marcus asked careful questions about financial entanglements, about house titles and bank accounts, about whether my parents had keys to their house. Daniel answered everything, said they'd co-signed his mortgage, said his dad was still on his bank account from when he was in college, said they had spare keys, said they knew all his passwords. Marcus took notes, occasionally glancing at me. By the end of the meeting, I felt drained but clearer. This wasn't just about me anymore. Daniel and Rachel were victims, too, in their own way, different from me, but still trapped. Marcus suggested they speak to a lawyer of their own, gave them a Collegius card, told them to change their locks, passwords, and bank accounts immediately. They nodded, looking overwhelmed but grateful. As we were leaving, Daniel hugged me. This time I hugged him back. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was something. A recognition that we'd both been damaged by the same people. Maybe we could help each other heal. That night, I got a series of increasingly unhinged texts from my parents' numbers, accusations, threats, guilt trips. I blocked them all. Then I called Rachel and asked if they were safe. She said yes. They'd changed the locks, stayed with friends the night before. We're looking into a restraining order. I felt relieved, but still worried. The next morning, I woke up to my phone ringing. It was Rachel, hysterical. They broke into our house. She sobbed. They took Lily's baby photos, important documents, and Daniel's laptop. They left a note. Family matters should stay in the family. I told her to call the police immediately. Said I'd meet them at their house. Called Marcus on my way. When I arrived, there was a police car outside their house. An officer was taking statements in the living room. The place was a mess. Drawers pulled out, paper scattered. Daniel was sitting on the couch, head in his hands. Rachel was pointing out missing items to the officer. I introduced myself as family there to help. The officer seemed skeptical that grandparents would break in. Are you sure they didn't just use a key? He asked. Maybe this is a misunderstanding. Rachel showed him her bruised arm, told him about the escalating behavior, about their threats, about how they'd been stalking them. He took notes, but didn't seem convinced. Said without evidence, it would be hard to prove who did this. After the police left, we cleaned up together. Found more missing things. Photo albums, financial documents, the spare key to their car. Daniel looked defeated. This is my fault, he said. I should have protected my family better. Should have stood up to them years ago. Should have looked for you harder. I didn't disagree, but I didn't pile on either. We were beyond that now. Marcus arrived as we were finishing. Looked around grimly. Said this changed things, that we needed to document everything, that breaking and entering was a serious crime, that we should all stay somewhere else for a few days, that he'd help us file for emergency restraining orders in the morning. We nodded, too exhausted to argue. Rachel packed bags for them while Daniel and I secured the house as best we could, changed locks again, checked windows, and discussed security cameras. It felt surreal taking these precautions against our own parents, but also necessary. They'd crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. As we were leaving, Dana got a text from her dad. Just 3 words. We're watching you. He showed it to me, hands shaking. I took a screenshot, sent it to Marcus. Then I made a decision, told them they were coming to stay with me. My building had security cameras, a doorman who already knew not to let our parents in. They accepted gratefully. That night, the 4 of us ate takeout in my living room. Lily played with toys Rachel had packed. We talked quietly about the next steps, about restraining orders, about police reports, about changing phone numbers and email addresses, about possibly moving to a new house, about how to protect ourselves long-term. It wasn't the family reunion I'd ever imagined, sitting there with a brother who'd let me be abandoned, his wife who'd believed lies about me, and their daughter who was innocent in all of this. But somehow it felt right, like we were finally facing the truth together. Like maybe, just maybe, we could build something new from the ashes of what our parents had destroyed. That wraps up part 2. But we're just getting started. Stick around for the final part, where things really heat up